Well, he tore his meniscus, and then they say he might be back or he might not. So what's the deal? Let's get into it. So you guys saw the video, right?
Get it back from a guard. Ooh, what a block. Oh no, did he hurt his knee? He landed awkwardly.
He's going up for the ball, and then he lands one leg this way, one leg down. Now, boom. Okay, so that's gotta hurt. That's gonna hurt me. It's gonna hurt you. It definitely hurt him. But what happens? So when you land, right, so he's jumping, and then he's landing. But when he lands, it's not just straight vertical, right? He's kind of moving, and he's kind of landing, and he's kind of twisting his knee. He didn't do that, but he landed like this, and he kind of twisted it a little bit. Now think about the loads going through there. Now, if you were to just lift your leg up, not even put weight on it, you can have up to 2 to 3 times body weight. 2 to 3 times body weight, just lifting your leg and moving it, not even putting weight on it. So the forces, just imagine, he's coming down, you've got gravity working with him. So it helps him come down. He fights gravity on the way up, so his body goes up, and then he floats, and then he's coming down. So he probably accelerated with a certain amount of force, and then he's coming down with a certain maybe 3-4 feet of vertical, maybe less, maybe more. And then he's coming down. So you have all that force equals ma, acceleration, mass. He doesn't have a lot of mass, but he's tall. And he's coming down with his body weight, accelerating onto a hard floor with slightly off kilter. Like he probably didn't land perfectly symmetrical no matter what. I mean, maybe he did, maybe he didn't. He probably had some twist, there was some friction, some shear, some straining of the joints. And then, what else is there? You know what, earthquakes, there's like this rumble. Well, those are forces going through essentially hard surfaces. So that happens with the body. You land like this, and if you were to take a slow-mo video, everything would like bloom, bloom, bloom. You've seen all the videos on YouTube. My son watches them all the time, like slow-mo, fast-mo, you know, super slow down. So what happens is that all of that it's called impedance, is your ability to sort of balance and tamp all the forces going through. And all of a sudden, boom, it strikes a point of weakness. Now that could be from edge loading, it could be from a certain point of strain, or it could just be, you know what, the force has just got to go somewhere, and it's either going to tear a ligament, tear a meniscus, break a bone, rupture a vessel, injure a nerve, or twist the knee, or cause him to fall. Those are all things that can happen. In this case, as far as we know from all the reports, it's a torn meniscus. Torn meniscus, you say? Let's get out Bonesy. So, we've seen the meniscus before, right? Come on, zoom in. Guy, camera, man, here, right here. He doesn't want to move. Okay, he zoomed in remotely. He's not even going to move. Okay, that's what's happened with COVID. No one wants to move, right? We got to maintain the 6 feet, which is important, okay? But, so these are your meniscus right here. So there's your knee. You open it up, move the patella out of the way. This is not anatomic. This is not normal. Do not try this at home. Telling you kids, don't try this at home. So anyway, so you've got your cruciates in the middle. You got your meniscus, medial meniscus, lateral meniscus. There's no report of whether it's medial or lateral, is there? Yeah. So, could be medial, could be lateral. So anyway, so when you were, now normally this gives you symmetry, you know, it's got a nice, you know, curved shape that matches the condyle, that then matches the condyle of the femur. It gives you a little sort of dish shape, kind of like a golf ball on a golf tee with an extra rim around it so it prevents it from falling off. And then, so and it's like kind of like 2 golf balls with bumpers all around it, right? So you've got these 2. So whatever meniscus he tore, he probably tore a little bit. Now, what does that mean? Torn meniscus. Now, just because you have a tear, one doesn't mean it's big or small. Doesn't mean it's irreparable or repairable. Doesn't mean it's inside or outside, meaning peripheral or interior, which implies what? Come on, blood supply. That's right, I heard you, Frank. I heard you out there in the audience. Okay, so blood supply. So if you have good blood supply peripherally, but not good blood supply on the inside of the meniscus. Now, he's a young kid, so he's going to have pretty good vascularization of his meniscus, but typically after the age of 18, the blood supply on the inner third of the meniscus is gone. Now, superstars may have much better blood supply than these cadavers that these studies are based on, so we don't know. So the healing potential is higher. However, if it's a torn meniscus in the periphery that's not unstable and doesn't require surgery, what does that mean? If it's a torn meniscus on the inside of the knee that's minor fraying, but doesn't require surgery or repair, what does that mean? What if it's a large tear, bucket handle that's displaced and flipped around, what does that mean? And then there's everything in between, right? You got multiple chopped up, macerated meniscus, everything in between. So the best case scenario is a minor tear that doesn't require surgery, requires rehab, training, back in the game. 6 weeks seems likely. Worst case scenario, horrible tear, needs to be repaired, which means that he's out for the season. So what do the reports say? No camera. I still only have 2 cameras, people. Come on, give me a break. All I need is a camera with a laser beam on it. Anyway. Some of these millennials will never get that joke because they don't watch Good Humor.
Right.
So, getting back to the meniscus. So, if it needs to be repaired, how many sutures? How big is the tear? Can he get back in the game? Healing potential, better in superstar athletes that are younger. If it doesn't need surgery, no repair. He's likely to return. So, all I can say is Wiseman may or may not be back, depending on the size of the tear, whether he needs surgery, and the extent of the recovery and rehab, all of which depends on what the full diagnosis is, how his recovery is, and what the progress is. So a meniscus tear is not a meniscus tear. So the meniscus tear that, say, Federer had versus the meniscus tear that KD had, tennis, basketball, could be different types of meniscus. In some cases surgery, some cases not. So everyone's different. So you can't just say that, oh, he had a meniscus tear, how's he going to be coming back? The real question to ask is, what is the actual anatomical characterization and blood supply of the meniscus and the healing potential of his biology? Now, the second part of the question you can't answer, but I would say that being young and a upcoming superstar athlete, I think he has very high healing potential. If it's unrepairable, he'll come back. Correct that. Unrepairable is a bad thing, meaning that's a terrible tear that's completely gone and you can't repair it. That's not good. Not needing a repair is different. So if he didn't need a repair, meaning it's a small frayed little edge, you can get by. He'll be back. No problem. I can't guarantee it, but guaranteed that I can't guarantee that he'll be back. Got it? Now, repairing the meniscus is different. So, say he had a tear, bucket handle, so part of this is flipped open like a bucket handle, and then you have to put suture, chunching, 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 chunching. All inside, suture repair, not a staple, but I just had the sound effects for fun because my media guy doesn't like my sound effects, so I did it on purpose.
I was going to say, does it actually, you actually do it?
Well, it is a special instrument that goes in and you can literally fire a needle in, calibrated so you don't puncture anything bad. You go in, you pop a suture in, and then you pull it out, pop the second part in, and then you just pull it back, and some are knotless, some require tying. And then you basically do however many you need to do the repair. And typically after, let's just talk about that meniscus repair. Now, if you do a meniscus repair, typically you're going to be partial to non-weight bearing, everyone's different in terms of what they do. If you have an ACL associated with it, you'll be full weight bearing, limit your flexion to 100 degrees. If you don't have an ACL associated, most people will put you touch weight bearing or partial weight bearing, limit your flexion to 100 degrees for 6 to 8 weeks, and then you rehab. So, likely scenario, if they're saying he's going to be back in 6 weeks, the likelihood, purely from a biological, scientific, anatomical, healing, rehabilitation potential, it's probably just a minor frayed edge of the meniscus that doesn't require surgery and requires pain management, anti-inflammatory medications, rehab modalities, and he'll be back. Don't put the last part in. That was just like too Hollywood.
I'm totally.
No!